This video will contain spoilers. Before I get started, I just want to say something about the Beatles movies. There's nothing wrong with the casting. I've heard people say that it is just, getting the people who are famous right now. And yeah, those people are famous right now, apart from the guy that's playing Ringo, I think. I can't remember who's who, but, we've got Barry Keoghan, Paul Mescal, and Joseph Quinn, and then there's someone else who I don't recognize. Let's just assume that that guy is also famous. Let's assume he's as famous as the other three. Like, someone said, "Oh, whatever happened to casting unknown actors?" Like, these people were unknowns like 5 years ago, apart from maybe Barry Keoghan. You know, Joseph Quinn didn't get famous until Stranger Things, which that only came out like 3 years ago. Paul Mescal, he got kind of big over here for doing a show called Normal People 5 years ago, but he didn't really become big in Hollywood slash the world until probably Gladiator, which was only a couple of months ago. And then Barry, to be honest, I don't actually know when Barry got famous. I didn't notice him until Eternals, I think. I know he was in Dunkirk, but I don't think that's what made him big. But point being, he hasn't been famous for all that long. So I think the thing about casting unknowns is stupid. People also complain about the fact that two of them are Irish. None of them are from Liverpool. So either way, they're gonna all of them have to put on Liverpool accents, and they might go as far as they actually try and do an impression. I don't know what the plan is for the film, but I would say that at the bare minimum they are all going to do Liverpool accents. Like, Scouse accents, or at least early Scouse. So I'm tired of people making fun of it because there's nothing wrong with it. Let's just wait until, at the very least, the trailers come out and then judge it. Anyway, Novocaine. Mixed ratings. I watched it in cinema. Jack Quaid, Amber Midfunder, Jacob Batalon, Ray Nicholson, Matt Walsh. That's who that is. Right. Anyway, um, we should have seen this instead of Working Man last week. This is a much, much better film, which I did expect it to be. Um, like, really, the only thing I have with this film is that not a lot of people die. Like, Nathan himself only kills like four people at most, I think. Which, the pacing of it is fine. Like, the make up for that, it's not like, he kills someone and then you need to wait half an hour for the next person to die. It's not like that. Also, the twist that Amber's character had been actually in on it, on the robbery, I think that was quite good. And like her flirting with Nathan was just because he's the assistant manager, and she was hoping that he could give her the code and some stuff like that. This Now that I think about it, the film does seem kind of simpish, but considering the fact that Nathan has been alone for like 30 years, really he should have died 5 years ago, because the life expectancy of the condition that he has is only like 25 years. Um, and then he met someone, and like she understood him, didn't make fun of him, wasn't like disrespectful in any way. It was, I would imagine, it's hard not to fall in love. So I wouldn't really call him a simp for doing the things that he did. Um, One of the people that Nathan kills in this film is a big Nazi. Um, this guy has a swastika tattoo on his chin, But then in some shots you can see that there's a flag hanging up on the ceiling, and it's the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. That doesn't make any fucking sense. The "Don't Tread on Me" flag is a libertarian flag. That man is a fascist. There's no such thing as a libertarian fascist. They cancel out each other. Marcus told this joke um, on stage once, and I'll just give it to sort of explain why you can't have a libertarian fascist. It's the same as having a meat eating vegan or a KKK member with a black wife. The ideas cancel each other out. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And yeah, the flag was just a background detail. So I thought, okay, whatever. But then the next scene, the next guy that he kills is inside the house of that guy, or the guy's brother's house, and a lot of traps all over the place. And Nathan picks up a magazine. He's like, "Oh, this guy is a trapper." Eh. Or, what I say trapper? He's a prepper. Like one of those people that prepare for the apocalypse and stuff like that. That in of itself is not really political. What the fuck is wrong with that? Like, it's not like he's saying, oh, the left wing will cause the apocalypse. He's just saying that the apocalypse is coming. And he's preparing for it. There's nothing political about that. There's nothing wrong about that. Like, they're really the only problems I have with the film. Everything else I thought was pretty good. Sometimes even great. I am surprised by how this hasn't been done before. Because like when you, I mean, you can still die, so you have that conflict, like that is required. But the fact that he can't feel pain, that opens up so many opportunities to do things in action films that haven't been done before, such as him grabbing the gun from the deep fryer, or the fact that he smashes his hand on the glass so that when he punches the big guy, that Nazi, it's not just a punch, like he's stabbing him multiple times. And there was also a scene that those two were in the trailer. There was also another scene that wasn't in the trailer where Ray Nicholson, like, basically just tears his fucking hand off the bone. Like, it is his wrist, the bone on his wrist is exposed. He fucking stabs Ray with that bone. Like, Jesus, that, like, god damn. That's all I can say about it. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Universally negative ratings. I watch it on Disney Plus. Roddy McDowell. Kim Hunter's not in it. Natalie Chundy. I just want to make clear some my opinion on the whole timeline thing of Planet of the Apes. I have a theory that technically makes it possible for every film to be connected. So I get that what they were trying to do with Conquest and Battle is to sort of close the circle, but then the problem with that is that you're supposed to feel like in the first film that it's because of the Cold War, like it turned hot. America used nukes, Russia used nukes, and the world just blew up. And the radiation, it mutated both the humans and the apes. But having the full circle thing, it destroys that. Um, like it's cool. It's something that I don't think has ever happened in a film or any piece of media. at at the time, but this film is really where they stop the whole uh, nuclear warfare thing. I mean, I guess you could say that this film is they focus more on animal rights, but I prefer the Cold War shit to the animal rights shit. But anyway, the way I see the timeline is that the first film is Rise. Like you have the Caesar trilogy, which is how the apes become intelligent. You have that trilogy, then Kingdom, whatever sequels may happen, the Kingdom, and then eventually by like whatever year the first film takes place, the first film happens, and then Beneath happens, and then Escape, and Escape wipes everything out of canon. Um, I just realized that what I just said is hypocritical because it's not a Cold War thing that's causing it. It's not like nuclear stuff. It's not radiation. Huh. Whoops. Anyway, I'm just gonna move on. So, they all happen. That's one timeline, and then the timeline gets reset because Cornelius and Zero go back. So then, timeline two is escape, conquest, battle. There's a show that I tried to watch, but the first episode is copyrighted, so I can't get access to it, and I didn't want to watch the rest because even though I have a feeling that it's going to be procedural in some way, don't know how that would work, but it's just what I think is going to happen. I still wanted to watch it in order, but I can't, so I gave up on that. And then there's a cartoon as well, which surprisingly also not procedural, but I'll do the review for that later. Maybe they fit in the timeline somewhere. I'm not sure. I'll explain in more detail when I do the review for the cartoon, but it doesn't add up. And then maybe the Tim Burton reboot fits in the timeline as well. I don't know because I haven't seen it yet. But as for Conquest, I like the way they got Roddy McDowell back for Caesar. Um, I like the way that they don't use the name Caesar to try and do something clever, like he gets betrayed. Technically, he does in battle, but it's I don't think it was the intention. Um, I think this is probably the weakest of the original series, but it's not bad. The only thing is that I don't like how the way that they're able to get the apes to talk is like all that happens is that they hear Caesar talk and then it's all monkey see, monkey do. If it were that simple, apes would be talking already because of us, because of humans. So I'm not a fan of that, but I get that the virus stuff was an idea created for the Caesar trilogy, not the originals. Also, like the way that this girl Natalie Trundy, she played uh, one of the doctors in Escape, and now she's Caesar's wife in this. I like that, whatever you would want to call it. I can't actually think of anything to say about the film because it's just like it's good, but It's whatever. I apologize for not saying it, but I'm just gonna have to move on. I don't know why it says for this one for an hour 36 minutes. It's not. It's on for like an hour 25. Anyway, Battle for the Planet of the Apes, and I'm not talking about it's an hour 25 plus credits. That's in total. But anyway, universally negative ratings. I watched it plus. Starting with the hell, Natalie Trundy. Isn't John Landis the guy who directed American Werewolf in London? Hmm. This is probably the best way that they could have ended the series. Like the original series. I get that they did continue it with the two shows, but that's different. Excuse me. Um, this film is basically like if you've seen Dawn and War, you don't need to watch this. Those two are like a lot of stuff in it is taken from this. Um, like the the way that Caesar and the bad guy fight at the end of Dawn is pretty similar to the end of this film. Only instead of it being like basically a concrete jungle, it's a real jungle they're fighting up in the trees. Um, and the general goes against Caesar's orders. He outright fucking kills Caesar's child, um, which in this film he's called Cornelius because Um, I did really like the stuff with like the sort of battle at the end. You had people in like jeeps and school buses and shit like that firing cannons out of them, and it kind of reminded me of like if Mad Max were grassy. And hell, this came 5 years before the first film. And that's all I can really say about it. Once again, it's very short. I apologize for that. Return to the Planet of the Apes. Mixed ratings. I watched it on YouTube. No one recognizes. Despite the fact that it's called Return to the Planet of the Apes, the return I think is supposed to mean the audience because there's an entirely new cast of characters in this. It's not George Taylor, and it doesn't continue anything. It's basically just a remake of the original, but instead of Charlton Heston being on his own for most of the film, there are like three astronauts survive and they go together and they stay together for the majority of it, at least from what I've seen. I would have watched more, but I've only seen 3 episodes because episode 4 has been copyrighted. If I can get access to episode 4 somewhere else, I think it's smooth sailing from there on because the rest of it, as far as I know, isn't copyrighted. Um, I was kind of hoping that this would have fit somewhere in the timeline, but I don't think it does because Zira and Cornelius are in this, and they find out that the main character, who's called Bill in this, he talks, and they're shocked by it. Um, so it it can't be connected to the original because if it happened before the original, then they wouldn't have been shocked by George talking, and if it happened after, they wouldn't be shocked by Bill talking. Um, the intro for the show is like goes hard for some reason. Don't know why. The music, especially, is great. There was a scene where the ape council are talking, and it's inside like a parliament building. It's not just out in the open like it is in the films. And I haven't seen much in April Rose again. I haven't seen much of the remake with Mark Wahlberg, but I know that there's a scene where you see the Abraham Lincoln statue, but it's an ape, like Abraham Lincoln. And yeah, that seems stupid, but at the same time, there's something similar in this. Like they do actually have a human like society. Like in the films, all of the films, it's more like half human, half ape. But in this, it is 100% human. Like they have buildings that they go into. Like, it does look like a proper parliament building. And a detail I wanted to point out was that there was a painting in the building, and it kind of it's like that evolution of man painting where it goes from ape to like Neanderthal, then eventually human. There's something like that where the humans evolved, then they devolved, and then the I don't know, fuck's sake. I don't have a cold or anything. I don't know what's going on. I think me talking is just what's causing it to happen, if that makes sense. But the humans devolve, and that is the correct word. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, it's evolving, but backwards," because PewDiePie said that once years ago. They devolve, and the apes take over, and they torture them and shit. And like, it's a kid-friendly cartoon, and that's just a background detail. But it's not like it's hidden. It's fucking out there. It's plain to see. And that was great. And then you see like a bird's eye view shot of the whole thing, and they've got like coliseums and it just looks like the Roman Empire, really. So I don't know. I like that, but the whole Abraham Lincoln thing from the remake, like what? The show overall is decent. Um, I wouldn't really say it's anything that you should like go out of your way to watch. It's really just listen to the soundtrack and the intro and all. And something else that surprised me is the fact that they have like the underground people from beneath in this, but they have superpowers, or not superpowers, but they have like they've got technology and shit. They've got like teleporters and stuff. I don't know how to feel about the show. It's decent, but it's like mm. In review, Yakuza 5. I took a very long time in this one. I was focusing more on doing side shit than I was in the other games because one, I seen how effortless the guy that played Dead Souls did it, and two, uh, 5 runs on the same engine as Dead Souls and 3. Um, because of that, sub stories are marked off. Like they're marked very clearly for you to see. Like in the first game, I don't think they were at all. In the second game, there was a skill you could get very early on that I got that. Third game, I think it was just too much of a hassle, or there was something about them in that game in particular, and I don't remember about the fourth game. Excuse me. Um, but I also did more side shit. Like This time I actually tried doing some things like karaoke and stuff like that. Um, so my playtime in total was 212 hours 44 minutes. That's bullshit. I'm just gonna come out and say that. According to PlayStation, I only spent about 80 hours on the game. I think the game counts. Like, say you have the game turned on, but you have it paused, and you're not actually on the game, you're on YouTube. I think the game still counts that. So, um, my completion total is 37.93%. On the in my middle review, I mentioned how in Sajuma's part that someone says that if you go past a bridge, there will be a guy, and I went there and there wasn't a guy. It turns out that they didn't actually say that there's a guy. They said that there's a shrine. And it wasn't until like the finale where you get to play as him again that I went back to it and completed it. Like I did all of the missions for that master. It's not that I use the stuff that they give me. Like I just button mash to be honest. But it feels nice to have. Um, the ending kind of felt like the end of the series. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought that they knew that 6 would have been the end, not from the very start, but like I didn't think they would have tried to like do an open end ending like this until they were sure that they wanted to end it. But I guess not. I don't know what else to say. Um, the fact that it just ended like that, I wasn't expecting. I did have a feeling that the guy that Carrie fights in the Tojo headquarters at the end of the game was going to be the final boss, but I also had a feeling that there was still at least a lot more cutscenes left, if not some more like gameplay, even if it's not bosses. But like you fight that guy, you defeat him. It cuts back to the concert that Haruka is doing, and she makes a speech, and she's like, "Oh, it's been my dream. It's been everyone's dream for me to be here, and I'm glad about it, and all that. I'm thankful, but I want to be with my family, so I quit after tonight." Which I don't know how to feel about it because I feel like it didn't feel all that nice for that to happen at the start of the game because they were split up, Haruka and Kiryu. But then, once you're there, you might as well commit. I do get, you know, he would rather be broke with Kiryu than rich and not with him. Um, but it's just it doesn't sit right, and then for it to just end like that, it felt a bit weird. It wasn't a bad ending at all, but it's just wasn't expecting it. I don't know what else to say. Fuck it, I'll just move on. Beginning review. Like a Dragon Ishin. I heard that they are remaking Yakuza 0 exclusively for the Switch 2, and that this version will. It's a director's cut, and they're going to put an English dub onto it. And I knew that from Like a Dragon onwards, they were doing dubs, but I didn't think they would for Ishin because it's a remake. But the fact that they said they're going to do a dub for the remake of Zero, I thought, okay, maybe they might do a dub for Ishin. They didn't, so I was a bit disappointed by that. Don't get me wrong, I love the Japanese voice actors, but it's just I'm lazy. I would rather have a dub than not, even if the dub is shit. I mean, not as bad as Yakuza 1. Like, if it were that bad, I would do subtitles, but I don't. This is getting off track, but I don't see the problem, or should I say, hear the problem with the Squid Game dub. Like, I've heard people say that the emotion of it is off. Like, you'll have characters who are distressed in the original, but in the English dub, they're like, let's stay calm. I don't know. But then you also have someone pointed out that the characters, they speak longer. Like their mouths move for longer than the dub goes on. But that's just because like the Korean language, I assume, is like German, where words are longer than they are in English. So it takes longer to pronounce all of them. But moving back to Like a Dragon, I never played Kanzen because it didn't get released over here, so I'm glad I do have something to play. And I'm gonna be honest, I think this is better than Kanzen. Maybe that's just because I'm actually playing it instead of just watching it, and also I'm getting to experience all the side stuff, whereas the walkthrough that I watched for Kanzen was just the story. Um, I was a bit concerned because I saw that they had different fighting styles, and the skill tree is very similar to the skill tree for Kiwami 1. So I'm starting to think that like maybe they came up with the whole idea for like the fighting styles in Ishin and then did it for 0, 6, and Kiwami 1. Hopefully that's not the case because that is what made the first game so fucking hard. This game, however, it it's different. It's not like, you know, the way I did it for Kiwami 1 was that I just stuck with the brawler style because all the others were just stupid. But for this, it's like you've got sword style, punching style, gun style, and then gun and sword style. They have different names, but yeah, that's what they are, and it works fine. Like I I alternate between them because I want to level them all up as much as I can. Um, Really, the only problem I have is that it doesn't make any sense that the wild dancer style, which is the gun and sword, um, the gun doesn't shoot as fast in that style as it does in the gunman one. I'm not surprised that this is based off of a true story because Kanzen was, but that like I don't know how much of it is true, but the fact that Ryoma, I think his name is, he uses a fake identity in the game, and it's not Kazuma Kiri like it is in Kanzen because like Kanzen, he was based off a true person and he uses the fake ID of Kazuma Kiri. He doesn't in this. In this, he goes by Saito Hajime, which kind of it took me off a little bit to be honest because I kind of wanted to have their Yakuza names, but it's whatever. I'm glad to see the guy from Yakuza 2 back, the bad guy. Like, the fact that I'm assuming that canonically he is actually dead, but then they brought him back for Dead Souls in this, and I kind of like that. And then also seeing everyone else, Akiyama, Sajima, Majima. I know Haruka is in it, but I've yet to get to the point where she's in. I've only just started chapter 3. I don't like the fact that the sub stories are not marked off clear and present. I'm using a walkthrough just to see where they are. I done every song in the singing bar in the first town, including Baka Mai Tai, or whatever it's called, the Dame Dame one. So hearing that was great. Um, I'm better at karaoke than I thought I was. Like, I didn't think I'd be good at that rhythm type stuff. That's really all I've done. I've done the first 2 chapters. I did all the songs in the singing bar. Did all the sub stories. I've got a couple bonds up. Um, yeah, that's game is really, really enjoyable. Graphics are fucking amazing. Like, I'm playing this on the PS4 version. What does the PS5 version look like? I'm not gonna know because I'm pretty sure I can auto pop the trophies, which thank fuck for that. That's all I have to say.